ahead, cut to chase. The YouTube part's gonna be a lot, but we're gonna try to go in order. So I just want to talk about your early life. Like, what was your family life? Growing up. Like, how did you become a wrestling fan? Like from the start. Like, what got you into it?
Well, Preston, I I think when it comes down to it, of becoming a wrestling fan, family life growing up was great. Both my parents, before I was even born, were split up and they divorced. But with that being said, I'm truly blessed in the regard that my parents usually when families split and the father and mother aren't together and you have and my mom had full custody of me, and then my dad obviously would have me whenever he could. And usually in scenarios like that, it can get fairly ugly for a number of reasons. And you see a lot of turmoil, a lot of fighting, and a lot of that kind of stuff. And I was very fortunate not to see any of that. My parents were a team, and they still are a team, and they work together, and they always worked on creating a structure for me. My dad has his own a band, and he was always on the road. So he plays country music. The band that he plays for is Trick Rider. He plug here. If you are a Spotify user or an Apple Play Music or even on YouTube Music, you can search up Trick Rider. That is TRICKRYDER. And if you're a country music fan, definitely check them out. Give them a listen on to any streaming service out there. But yeah, my dad, he was on the road. My mom was essentially, she was the one that raised me. And honestly kept me structured. I started off at the age of 4 wrestling and doing the real thing and amateur wrestling, and then it slowly came into me being a fan of wrestling and pro wrestling. I remember in grade 1, one of my principals, that this is when WWF was doing the big campaign of don't try this at home, don't do it on school grounds. So I remember in grade 1, Mr. Pace, my principal, he ended up pulling me down to his office, and he says to me, "Hey, I just want to let you know, no choke slams, no body slams. I know you're a wrestler, so don't do any of those." And I was like, okay. And I had zero clue what a choke slam and a body slam was. I had zero clue what it was, and I asked my mom what it was. That's when they were banning even wrestling T-shirts, even in schools. Uh, Moving forward, I was given a wrestlers as a kid, so I got like a WCW ring. Didn't even know what WCW was. I got a world championship belt, like for my action figure. I had like Stone Cold, and I had Diamond Dallas Page and Sting. Didn't really know who they were, but I played with them. I didn't even know what the concept of wrestling was. Had WCW coloring books. So I was exposed that way. I had zero clue, and that was essentially from my dad's side. Uh, when I became a bigger fan of wrestling, I would say it was in 2000 to 2003 when I showed a full interest in it. And usually when I would ever have my birthday party, my mom would hold my birthday party, and then essentially we would do another birthday party. So I would have 2 birthday parties. And I remember my mom came to my second birthday party, and it was actually held at Jared's place. For people that watch the Wrestling Guru videos, that place was where I was at, and that's where we had our get-togethers for birthday parties. And essentially what happened, I had some action figures that I got for my first birthday. We had it at Galaxy Cinemas, and I got a wrestling ring, and I was actually starting to become a fan slowly and listening to the CDs. My first ever CD that I ever got from the WWF at that time was Forcible Entry, and I became a fan of that. And then I got I just kept on getting the CDs and everything. But back to Jared's place, that was when Jared and I like we were cousins, but we didn't really know too much of each other until we found a common like. He was playing his action figures, and he saw that I got action figures as well. So he's like, "Oh, he's a wrestling fan. This is cool." And then we were playing a GameCube, and I remember it was Booker T and The Rock and Stone Cold. We had them in a ring. It was a triple threat match on the GameCube, WrestleMania 18. And I remember we called The Rock Mocha, we called Booker T Chocolate, and we called Stone Cold Steve Austin Vanilla. And we thought it was funny as kids. And I picked Vanilla to win this match. We really never even knew the concept of it, right? And I think it was just by being exposed to video games in that Jared was like, he's a wrestling fan too. Jared and I got along on my birthday, and both our parents saw it, and they said, maybe these two need to have like a play date. Maybe we should get them together. They seem to be getting along really well. And lo and behold, Jared and I are like, I don't even consider him a cousin. He's one of my best friends. And still to this day, we're not sitting in front of a TV playing with wrestling action figures, but we still play video games against each other, and we still bicker and banter between each other like we were when we were kids. That hasn't changed, but that's where it really evolved to me becoming a wrestling fan. My first wrestling match I ever saw, my sister woke me up in the middle of the night to show me. It was a bra and panties match, and it was with Mae Young in it. That's all I remember, and I still think that gave me nightmares. And then it just slowly grew. My dad saw that I was a wrestling fan. He had a bunch of Stampede wrestling tapes, and I watched them, and it was like with Bret Hart, and I started to see like the old Stampede wrestling tapes, and it just evolved after that. I had like over 500 action figures at one time. I played WWF No Mercy like it was nobody's business. It was a big deal. When I became a fan and when I became hooked forever, and it hasn't changed. So yeah, that's a little background on that.